Hey guys, here we are in the fourth and final round of this film study. I think Rigondeaux makes he makes a few points in this round that kind of allow me to solidify his grading scale. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit too. People have been talking about how harsh my grading scale is, like, because they don't understand that I think C-level stuff is like still really high-level world champion stuff. So I've been thinking about amending it for my viewers and saying instead of C level, it's B level. Instead of B level, they're A level, and then instead of the A level, those are elite fighters. That's gonna, like, you know, using a word like elite is gonna create more seemingly biased notions, but I think that might be less because there are many more like C-level, like in my opinion, like world champion level fighters that are like, you know, basic, you know, straight up and down fighters than there are elite fighters, so they'll wind up being like seemingly less biased. But I'll put a note in the comments about it. I'll just write amend grading scale yes, amend grading scale no, and then just people just upvote or downvote which one you think, and then I can go back and change it or whatever. I'm not gonna remake those fucking videos though. I don't give a shit. But anyway, let's get into this this next round. Starts off with lead hand control, right? Guillermo Rigondeaux showing that he can't let Donaire just walk in and get lead foot dominance like for free, right? So he's showing the lead hand. He might eat a body shot right there, but it doesn't matter. Lead hand dominance. Donaire gets onto the outside of his glove, right, of his arm, and Rigondeaux circles out and controls his arm so he doesn't take that left hook. You know, really smart. And that's, you know, it's not exactly the first time that we've seen Rigondeaux use control of his opponent in the fight, but it's been very few and far between, and that's what makes it hard to grade him as a fighter, because sometimes you do just wind up out of position and you have no other choice, right? It's either when you're punching, or if they like feint and bait you, or they feint and they probe you and then you make a mistake, now you're out of position, right? You have to be able to show that you can safely maneuver those instances in which someone like kind of outplays you in a micro engagement and safely get out of it. You know, you might take one shot, right, or two shots from being out of position, but showing that you can escape it without it, and that's kind of what he's showing here, right? So let's get back into it. Again, showing him lead hand dominance, to stop him from just coming in, walking in. And then interesting, this is really interesting because Donaire, you know, there's like that whole practicality between the tension in left-handed and right-handed fighters, where most of the time, you know, they're trying to battle for lead hand position, right, so that they can get their hand to the outside of their opponent so that it's easier to establish lead foot dominance, and they just constantly battle for those punches. And then while they're doing that, rather than actually always taking lead foot dominance, like establishing like a large portion of it, they kind of just sneak in like a little bit of getting your foot to the outside of theirs. Not really lead foot dominance, right, but just having your foot on the outside to better align your straight left or straight right, and they just try to sneak those punches in rather than, you know, engaging them, establishing it, and holding a superior position on your opponent, right? They just try to sneak in punches. But part of that is, you know, swatting your opponent's hand down, and as Donaire swats his hand down, he allows it to happen, and the natural counter, right, when he pushes his hand down, and it's very light, right? The natural thing that Donaire is going to do after that is show him the jab, which he does, and it's not like Rigondeaux doesn't know that's going to happen, but he elects to just catch him with the left hook or right hook while he does it, and then circle out. You know, not a big punch, right? It's a scoring blow, and because it's so hard to land punches on Rigondeaux, every time he kind of outplays you, right, because he has so much experience, right, that's like a little trick, right, like a little piece of his craft that he uses. It just piles up the points, and the more that it goes on during the course of a round, the more you kind of have to sell out to score against him, right? So you have to and that's kind of what I get the sense that most of his offense is set up about, is making you make a mistake. And he has all these little tricks to kind of pile up points, and then at the end of a round you're like, okay, I'm down, I got to make something happen, and you go for, wildly go for lead foot dominance, and he cracks you with the right hand or a straight left hand when you do it, putting yourself out of position. But anyway, let's go back to the lead hand dominance. Boom, boom. And really interesting, swats his arm down, right? And then he gets too close. He's too close for the left hook. So what does Rigondeaux do? He controls him, right? Puts his arm on top of him and ducks the left hand because he knows it's coming, right? He just has to control him just enough. Then after that, he's out of position, right? The right hand can come. So what does he do? He controls him, right? It's a little excessive with the elbow getting in his face, right? I don't think that that's necessarily on purpose. I think Donaire kind of put his head down a little bit after he threw that hook as he leaned into it. But he controls him and then is able to get out of the way of the right hand. Showing really high-level control, stuff that he wasn't showing exactly earlier. Now shows him the jab, and then Donaire comes in for the lead foot dominance, very predictably, right? But not really setting it up, just reacting to the jab from Rigondeaux, right? And then Rigondaux's not really setting up his left hand. He's kind of trying to catch him in transition. So neither one of them really are able to land any offense. But, and he misses that shot too, but Rigondeaux controls his head, right? It's kind of a jab, kind of pushing him off of him, right? So it's it's legal, it's fair, and he's able to get out of harm's way, right? He gets out of the way of having to fight in a position where he can't see all the punches coming, right? Where there creates any type of uncertainty and gets back to everywhere he's comfortable being. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why the lead hand dominance is so important, and I'll talk about it at the end of the round. I know I showed it, maybe I did talk about it enough, quantifying it. The reason that it's important, well, yeah, I'll just talk about it at the end of the fight, or at the end of this round. I'll just go back to that next round. Again, shows him the left hand as he's coming in, right? Doesn't really set that punch up, right? Just kind of hopes that he catches Donaire in transition, right? His level of offense, he's fast, he punches hard, but he's not like super adept at setting his punches up. He's kind of just hoping that you make mistakes so far. Did Donaire catch him with a hook there? I think he does. Yeah, so this is what happens when you don't use lead hand dominance. It looks like Rigo's touching his glove a little bit, but if you notice, he kind of just lets Donaire walk in, right? Kind of has lead foot dominance, and then, and then Rigondeaux steps inside. I wonder if he's trying to throw a straight left when he steps inside, but he kind of eats a left hook right there. I'm not sure if it lands cleanly or if it kind of hits him on the back of the head or whatever, but it doesn't matter. You need to establish like lead hand dominance, especially when you're the boxer, right? When you're letting your opponent lead, you need to use lead hand dominance so that your opponent is reacting to that rather than walking in and forcing you to react to what he's doing. Because if you're reacting to what he's doing, he has control, right? And he can, those are the times where he can set you up with the probe or with the feint to put you out of position so that he can hit you with a real shot, right? So I explained that fine. But if you're the one using the lead hand dominance, right? So say you flash in him the right hand, and he just slips inside all the way past it, and you catch him, boom, with a straight left, you made him react to your, probing jab or, lead hand dominant jab. It is more probing. You make him react to it, and it's basically like he's just standing in front of you, and he just dips in there and fully commits to a slip inside, and you can easily just catch him with a shot. It's akin to somebody just standing in front of you and throwing a straight right hand, and you can just easily be like, oh, there's a punch coming at me, and slip it, right? Because they didn't hide it, right? Anyway, I guess I did talk about why that stuff is important already, so I guess I won't have to go back to the end of the round to do it. But again, Donaire coming in, showing him the lead left hand. And this is really interesting too, right? Because he shows it, right? This is exactly what I mean, right? Shows him the lead left hand again. And now Donaire, in order to get inside, he has to make a move, right? So what does he do? He feints a little bit, takes lead foot dominance, trying to escape the lead left hand, walks right into it, and isn't able to amount anything, right? Then he has to react to this one too, right? And then boom, almost sets him up, almost gets him to make a mistake and walk straight into a straight left hand, right? And that's why it's so important, because throughout this little exchange, there aren't really any opportunities where Rigondeaux is out of position enough that Donaire can catch him with the shot, right? The only person that's out of position is Donaire, and he's the one that's slipping shots and trying to work his way in. By the time Rigondeaux is done with the exchange, he throws his hand, he controls Donaire and is able to push him off. That is near like perfect defense. That's nearly exactly what you want to be doing to your opponent when they're trying to lead against you in every single exchange. Very high level defense, you know. And at this point in the fight, you know, he's used it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm getting more comfortable saying, hey, yeah, these are quantifiable skills. You can see this. I'm not sure what's going on with this jab right here, but boop, almost gets countered. I don't know. Bad angle, so we won't try to break it down. Lead hand dominance, shows him. Uh-oh, all right. Lead hand dominance. I'm not sure if that's a jab or he's like probing right there, but he definitely gets caught with a straight left. Let's look at this one more time. Boom. Fakes the left hand. Catches him with the right hand. Yeah, I think that winds up being more of a case of just him probing with it and then controlling his hand and hiding that right hand really well. You know, it's interesting because after this, he doesn't really Rigondeaux doesn't really do anything after the feint, right? Remember I was telling you earlier in the round, after the feint you have to move, you have to show your opponent another angle or another look or something, and he doesn't really do that. Maybe he just wasn't expecting Donaire to actually commit to a shot. I'm not sure. But boom. But after he takes the shot, he pushes Donaire off. Kind of gets cuffed by that. Not a real punch, right? He's able to get out of the way of that one. Takes another angle, right? Controls him. Ooh, does he elbow him in the face? Not that it matters, right? Kind of hit. No, not really. It's more of like his bicep, you know, catching him as he controls him and then pivots out. You know, good defense. He does get caught with a clean shot. You know, I'm not sure what's going on in his mind, like what kind of game plan he was trying to formulate at that moment, but it didn't really work out for him. But that's not the point. Everything that he did after that was beautiful. Controlling him, right, dude? And he makes Donaire react to him first, right, to react to what he's doing. And, you know, Rigondeaux might have been able to get away with a shot right there, but look at how far away Donaire winds up being after he tries to work his way in, right? He's not even anywhere near, you know, punching range. And that might also be by design for Nonito Donaire, right? Nonito Donaire might have been trying to be just out of range and bait Rigo into throwing a shot. Who knows? Controlling him, showing him the hook, right? Really good right there. Tries to control his arm. He brings his forearm up just in case another left hand comes. But Donaire takes lead foot dominance and gets cracked with the shot. Again, controlling him with the left hand and getting him to commit to something without Donaire knowing exactly how he's going to react to it, right? Donaire's not setting up his shots or his offense really well. He's doing a little bit of feinting and stuff. He's trying, but because Rigondeaux has lead hand control, almost none of those feints really matter, right? He might be able to bait Rigondeaux into countering, like I thought he just tried to do like a second ago, but until he commits to something, right, a probe or something, he's not going to be able to get Rigondeaux out of position, and he winds up eating another shot because Rigondeaux has control of the fight, you know, of the exchanges with that lead hand control. Again, right, lead hand control. he goes to put his glove on top of his glove or catch him with the jab. And as soon as he does that, he's out of position. And, you know, Rigondeaux doesn't land this shot right. But Donaire's not even in a position where he can actually safely throw a punch without getting caught with a counter. I mean, maybe right there he could have, but he has to respect that the counter is coming. I don't think that lands, but here we are. Well, let's go back just a second. Now Rigondeaux not using any excuse me, not using any lead hand control. He kind of dips down, and I think at that point he puts himself out of position, and that allows Donaire to close the distance right here. And now if he uses lead hand dominance after the distance is already closed, right, if he tries to jab at him, he's going to be the one that's out of position, right, because they're already close enough to punch. So what happens? And this is just a beautiful example of it. Donaire feints him with the jab, right? You see him feint a little bit with the jab. Rigondeaux reacts to it, and then Donaire almost catches him with the straight right. And that's exactly why you want to, as a southpaw or as the orthodox fighter that's being led to, as the defensive fighter or the one that's quote unquote boxing. You want to have control of the situation because you don't want your opponent leading you into traps, right? Making you react to their shots, and allowing them to land shots on you. So now, if Donaire, instead of throwing this right hand, if he had probed it and Rigondeaux reacted the same way, he could have come over the top with the left hook, right? And that might be something that he uses in the next exchange, the next time he gets in a situation like this. He might learn from it, right? But things like probing and feinting, they go a long way. Whoops. Okay. Again, hand control, showing him some hand control, and now nothing. Not sure why. Maybe he's doing what he's doing right here. He gets him to come in, and I can't tell if he lands a shot right here. But whenever he stops using lead hand dominance, right, and hand control and jockeying for position, whenever he stops doing that, I get the sense that Rigondeaux is trying to walk him into a shot. So here, Donaire feints him, and the feint works beautifully. Rigondeaux drops his left hand, right? I think the right hand lands on his elbow. I'm not sure, but I also couldn't really tell if Rigondeaux's left hand hits Donaire on the chin or not. It looks like it does. I wish I would have watched it. Yeah, it looks like it does. So it looks like actually by not using lead hand dominance, he's trying to set a trap for Donaire, and I think he catches him with the shot right there. I think you guys might be able to tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Like I said, these videos, for some reason, they always look better on YouTube than they do on my freaking computer. This freaking dinosaur. Again, right, lead hand dominance. He sells out, but by the time he throws a punch, Rigondeaux is already gone, right? Because Rigondeaux has control of the situation. He can see, oh, he's trying to set me up for a shot, and just take a step back. Interesting right here. Swats his arm down. I think he catches him a little bit right there. Yeah, just a little bit. But then he catches him with the counter. Really interesting, right? Lead hand dominance. Swats the hand down. And then Rigondeaux, very smartly, ducks down, right? But because he's expecting the counter jab right away, and that's what Rigondeaux is ducking for, because he expects it, he winds up out of position for the left hook instead, because things didn't go like exactly how he thought it was going to go, and that actually leads Donaire out of position to eat the jab. But a really interesting exchange, I wonder what Rigondeaux was actually setting him up for, because it looked like he let him do that, right? I'm not sure if he was going to throw like a left uppercut or what, but a really interesting trap, although it didn't work from Rigondeaux, but a really interesting trap nonetheless. Jab to the body, doesn't set the punch up, and I'm not sure if he eats that left hook, but while he's getting out of position, because he puts himself out of position, he kind of eats that jab. But Rigondeaux says, nah, I ain't playing that, and catches him with one of his own while he's out of position. We will get to see some more interesting stuff at the end of this round. But right here, feints him, And he doesn't set this punch up, and look how easy it is for him to block, right? Rigondeaux's a really good fighter, right? But because he doesn't set his punches up enough, his offense is just a little lacking, you know? And that kind of explains why he's so good at setting traps, and he has such great understanding of positioning, and why he's able to win fights, you know, even though his offense isn't super great, because he can do all those other things, setting traps and understanding when his opponent's going for lead foot dominance and countering them when they're doing those things. He's able to score points. Knowing, like, also the pitfalls of lead hand dominance. Notice how earlier in the round he had he let Donaire swat his glove down, and then he came around with the right hook, right? And then right there when he let him do it, and he was setting him up for something. I'm not sure what, but really interesting, setting up traps off of conventional stuff. That's really, really smart stuff. Oh, really smart. Lead hand dominance, shows it to him, and then just imagine this. Imagine Guillermo Rigondeaux just standing there with his hands by his side, right? Not using lead hand dominance, and then Donaire just coming in, right? Not yet, sorry. Just imagine it, his hands sitting right here, and then Donaire just leaping in like this. That's basically what it is, and he just telegraphs what he's doing, and Rigondeaux's able to catch him with the shot. That's exactly what lead hand dominance does, right? Because you're making your opponent react to what you're doing, right? So they're not able to adequately set up their offense, right? They're not able to make you react to what they're doing because you have control of the distance between you guys. I guess that's a better way to say it. You're the one with all the control between the distance between you. And because of that, Donaire isn't able to set up his shots, and he keeps walking into punches. Again, right, not really setting up the shot. You know, a flash hook gets him to turn away from it. And I think he does land that shot. It doesn't look like it on here, but if you listen to the audio, I made sure to listen to this one, and it does sound like he hits him. Jim Lampley says he hits him. That's a great barometer. But again, right, as soon as he walks in for lead foot dominance, he's kind of expecting the left hand, right? He goes to touch it, throws a jab, and then almost gets caught, right? I think lead hand dominance, Nonito Donaire has to sell out because he doesn't know how to control the distance between them, and then he eats kind of a shot in the leg, and that's what the referee's coming in for. They touch gloves. You know, obviously Rigondeaux's not doing it on purpose, right? I like that. He's a real honest fighter in that regard. Can't see what's going on? Okay. Oh, man. What are you doing, Rigondeaux? No! Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay. So, here you have them standing in front of each other, right? He leans in. Does he set this punch up? Nope. Donaire sees it coming a mile away, even though it grazes his head, and he eats that huge punch. And, you know, just kind of going to show you, Rigondeaux is a fucking phenomenal fighter. Technically, he does so many things well. It's hard to hit him, except for when he's trying to set up his offense, right? He definitely has some holes in his ability to set up his offense, and it's interesting because he spends so much time in his fights trying to exploit the fact that his opponents don't set up their offense, that he doesn't realize that he's not setting up his own offense when he's throwing it. You know, there's a really interesting tension between those two ideas. But anyway, as soon as he gets hit, he shoots out, right, very smartly, controls him with the jab, and then stops Donaire in his tracks, shows him another jab. Even though he eats that one, look at that huge left hand he walks him into. Let's just take a look at that. Boom. Look at how Donaire has to pause, right, after he gets control, right? Instead of just jumping all over him like he wanted to after landing that big shot, boom, and just eats a big shot himself. Now, he eats that shot. Let's see where they go after this. No control from Rigondeaux. Oh, there he is. There's a little bit of control. Wings that body shot, kind of low, but at the same time, he eats that left. Does he eat that left hook? Man, It's so hard to pay attention to 2 shots at one time. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure. Maybe I can see it better in real time. Yeah, he does eat it. He does eat it, and then controls him as he spins out a little bit. Can't really tell what happens there. But at the end of it, it does look like Rigondeaux lands a left hand. Boom. And then controls him. Smartly trying to control him too, right? It's a little excessive. I'm not sure why you need to put your arm around them and you need to get your arm on top of them, right? Those are kind of conflicting ideas. And he makes Rigondeaux pay for it a little bit by grazing him on the top of the head. Looks like he might have hurt him too. I don't know. Again, right? Lead hand control. You can hardly see Rigondeaux's glove. And Donaire just walks into a shot. Boom. Because Rigondeaux has control of the distance between them. And that's a good way to say it. The distance between them. I think that's more appropriate. So there you have it. You know, although Rigondeaux, you know, has extremely high level defense, and he showed that he does understand how to control his opponents when he's out of position, in spite of the fact that he's almost a master at not being out of position ever. He doesn't know how to set up his offense very well, and as you saw in that exchange, it gets him into some danger. You know, like Donaire is a huge puncher, and you don't ever really want to be eating that shot. Did his knees buckle after that? I'm not sure, not really. He does follow it up with some good punches of his own, but when you're this good of a fighter, right, you're able to walk your opponent into traps all around just like that, you know, you don't really want to take risks like that. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.